Hello everyone, and welcome to After Alexander, Episode 64, Seleucus II, the Beleaguered. We have finally killed off Seleucus II. Our fourth Seleucid king is now dead after about 20 years on the throne and deserves his time in the spotlight. We have been with him ever since Antiochus II's review episode back in episode 46. Our narrative picked up in episode 48, when we began exploring the murky succession that Antiochus II left behind him. Put another way, we have spent anywhere between 16 and 18 episodes with Seleucus, depending on where exactly you want to draw the line. If you just consider the intervals between review episodes, Seleucus I got 16 episodes, Antiochus I got 16 again, and Antiochus II got just 14. Therefore, Seleucus II is the man we spent the most time with on the basis of how many episodes they get. But now, let's spend one final episode with him before we usher in the new dawn. Let's start with his birth. Seleucus was born as the eldest son of Antiochus II and his cousin wife Laodike I. His younger brother was Antiochus, also known as Antiochus Hyrax. Seleucus II was the grandson of Antiochus I and the great-grandson of Seleucus I by two different lines. Quite the royal pedigree, as I'm sure you'll agree. His mother separated from his father when he married his second wife Berenike at the end of the Second Syrian War. Laodike travelled with her sons to Ephesus, while Antiochus II had a son called Antiochus, who we termed Antiochus the Unfortunate. In July of 246, after travelling to be with Laodike once again, Antiochus II died. The sources seem split as to whether he died naturally or whether foul play on the part of his wife Laodike was involved. After Antiochus II died, both of his wives declared their first sons king. Laodike and/or Seleucus had Berenike and Antiochus the Unfortunate assassinated, cutting the impending civil war short. However, a fresh issue presented itself in the form of Berenike's brother Ptolemy III. He appears to have been spoiling for a fight, and had arrived in Seleucid territory with the supposed aim of helping his sister and nephew in their succession troubles. Once it came out that the two were dead, Ptolemy claimed to be avenging his sister. The Third Syrian War would see Ptolemy rampaging around the centre of the empire, taking over Antioch and foraying into Mesopotamia. Meanwhile, Seleucus tried to put a fleet together, but saw it sunk in what some saw as divine punishment. When he eventually made it across the Taurus, he fought against Ptolemy and did see some success, but was defeated in battle in Phoenicia. Ptolemy had also been drawing back at this point, possibly prompted by civil strife in Egypt itself. Eventually, a peace deal was drawn up, which saw several regions, including Seleucia and Pieria, given up to the Ptolemies. Given that Seleucia was the necropolis of the early Seleucid kings, and had been recognized as strategically important by Seleucus I, this would have been a real blow to Seleucus II. Even worse was his brother Antiochus Hyrax revolting against him. Hyrax had been made co-king in Anatolia, but once the war ended he showed his true colours and either sought independence for Anatolia or wanted to claim the whole empire. Seleucus advanced into Asia Minor, but was defeated in Ancyra by a coalition comprised of Hyrax, Mithridates II and the Galatians. This defeat saw Anatolia descend into chaos after Hyrax failed to establish authority. The rest of Seleucus's rule can be summarised as follows. Seleucus attempted to head east to re-establish royal authority. Diodotus I of Bactria had been satrap for a very long time before his death, and may have declared independence for Bactria. Andragoras had done the same for Parthia, but he had been killed by the Parnae under Arsaces and saw his province absorbed by them. Diodotus II settled his border with Arsaces, and Seleucus fought against the Parnae. However, issues in the west forced him to cut his eastern expedition short, and the Parnae were left unchecked afterwards. Western troubles had included a rebellion by his paternal aunt Stratonike after she returned from Macedon, and had her marriage proposal turned down by her nephew in 235. Antioch itself rebelled, possibly spurred on by the consequences of the loss of Seleucia, and Seleucus was forced to besiege it. Stratonike ran away towards Egyptian territory, but was caught and killed. Babylon also saw trouble, but the installation of Seleucus' second son in the city quietened things down. Attalus I of Pergamon was also an issue. He had fought against both the Galatians and Hyrax, making himself master of everything the Seleucids had once held west of the Taurus. Hyrax had died after being defeated, running away from multiple lands, escaping Egyptian capture, and being killed by Thracian Gauls. The question now became whether Seleucus would tolerate an expanded Pergamon. Numismatic evidence indicates he was taking precautions ahead of an incursion into the northwest, and he was planning to take the fight to Attalus. However, in December of 225 BCE, he fell off his horse and died. He left behind him two sons, Alexander and Antiochus. So, that's the reign of Seleucus II dealt with. It's been quite the ride. With that, let's turn to his 21st century epithet, which you can see in the title of this episode. So far, we've had Seleucus the Gifted, Antiochus the Troubled, and Antiochus the Colourful. For our fourth monarch, I've gone for Seleucus the Beleaguered. The reason why is probably obvious. The sense I've gotten from researching him these past 18 episodes is a profound sense of pity. From a purely Seleucid perspective, Seleucus II had it rough. First the Third Syrian War, then defeat by his brother, defeat in the east, then a revolt by his aunt in Syria. The general impression I get is that Seleucus II just can't catch a break. We've been with him from July of 246 to December of 225 BCE. That's about 21 years and 5 months. Now, I'm sure that this next point is because our sources are missing out huge amounts of time, but it's felt like a whirlwind of rushing around from one disaster to the next during those 2 decades. Compared to our other monarchs in previous generations, I've just wanted to give Seleucus a reassuring pat on the back and tell him it's going to be okay. He just feels continuously under pressure from someone or dealing with some sort of problem. In short, he feels besieged. He comes across as beleaguered. So, that's what I went for. Farewell, Seleucus the Beleaguered. Next time, we will use the proverbial remote control to unpause our narrative. We've left everyone frozen in time in December of 225 BCE, and it's time to see what happens when they're all allowed to move again. In the meantime, thank you all for listening. Feel free to get in touch at the show's email address for any questions or comments. Until next time, have a great week, everyone.